This is Alien Uprising, a game about the adventures of the ragtag crew aboard a Lennox-class starship that... Wait, Lennox? Huh. Lennox. Apparently, the path between climate control products to starships is remarkably short. The ship crash lands, because all spaceships crash land, and despite the universe being big, there was a convenient planet nearby to crash upon. Said planet, Tempest 3, is populated by enraged Zothrans. One thing about Tempest 3 I never could stomach. All the damn Zothrans. The plucky crew of misfits must work together to fend off the alien attack and escape the planet before being overrun. And that's it. Is it good? Not really. But it could have been. By the way, the characters you get to choose from include Ivan Starr, Jalen Moon, Ali Blade, Corporal Diesel, and Jake Comet. I don't know why Diesel has a rank and not a first name. I don't know why he's the only one who does. You know, actually, knowing this game's lack of originality, that probably is his first name. So, like the Supremes and Tom Cruise's film career, I enjoy about 1/3 of Alien Uprising. The part that works is genuinely enjoyable, and the parts that hold it back do so in such a frustratingly obvious manner as to suggest the designers believed its flaws were non-existent. So let's take a look and see where Alien Uprising rises and falls. It's become a tradition with my videos that I often compare games. Design abhors a vacuum, and few titles don't at least coincidentally pair themselves along mechanical or thematic lines. Alien Uprising is no different, and yet its differences to related titles are not virtues, as the drive for originality has created design decisions that honestly left me befuddled. One similar title was the benchmark game Castle Panic. Both titles have the players defending a central point as monsters converge around them. With the classic game, each player draws cards that allow the manipulation and damaging of monsters in hopes of killing them before the central towers are destroyed. Another game involving a similar mechanic, though designed a lot better, is Apocalypse Chaos. Alien Uprising takes the concepts from both these games and then cranks them up to 11.
These go to 11.
Here's a problem with that quote. Most people forget the line before, which mocks the concept.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
To quote Wikipedia, it's a misunderstanding of the underlying operating principles. You can't really set something that high without revealing a lack of insight into how it works. Games are no different. Castle Panic has 3 random variables: the shuffled deck of action cards, the drawing of monsters from the supply, the rolling of locations on where the monsters appear. Players can mitigate that by trading cards with each other, maximizing effectiveness when and where needed. With Alien Uprising, the number of random variables is taken to an extreme. When setting up, the game randomizes the location of ship debris, crewman skill cards, the status of the shields around the wreck, as well as the location of the crew before the first turn. Then during play, there is the event deck, action dice, resolution dice, and action troop cards.
11. Look, right across the board.
These would still be fine if it weren't for the additional possibility of a cascade of adverse events, all of which can render a game unwinnable early on unless players possess precognition of what is to come. Setting up almost matches Flashpoint Fire Rescue in the number of steps required. Start with the boards, the main, the rescue status, and the alien gestation. Place the ship and gestation markers at their start. Place the engine, home beacon, and hull sheet metal cards next to the board. Take the ship debris tokens, place them face down, and randomly set them on the board. Place all the monsters and alien gestation tokens in the supplied bag and draw 2 for each of the 4 sectors, placing them in the outer zone. Tunnelers are positioned closest to the ship, and scouts advance immediately to Zone 2, placing them inside the shields. Players choose crewmen, set their health to maximum, take their item cards and skill deck, drawing 2 of the latter. One player gains the first player marker. Form the gestation card deck based on the selected difficulty. Shuffle the event cards and alien troop cards. Place the shield generators in each sector by randomly selecting 10 and distributing them face down among the 4 possible locations. Characters are also randomly placed across the board. Everything else is set aside. And there's a lot of it. After all of that, you are left with a mess. The game is not pretty, clearly showing signs of an independent production on a fixed budget. The cover of the box, replicated on the manual, is cropped for each character card and their skill decks. It's not even that good an illustration. Worse still are the monsters, and the graphics across the various tokens. It offers the impression this game heralds from the late 90s, not 2014. The manual is baffling, and could have used several passes to refine. The basic miniatures are a joke, each identical, leaving the colored base the only way to distinguish them. I actually prefer the tokens that, once again, crop the box art. Alien Uprising apparently tried to emulate a Giger aesthetic with specific images, but then failed to follow through, with opponent images looking like Warhammer 40k fan art. Sorry, that was mean. There's some 40k fan art out there that looks amazing. Alien Uprising involves a combination of elements from dice drafting and press your luck. Given limited actions that are randomized as a tried and true mechanic, but then the game adds skill rolls, meaning a player's selected action may still fail depending on a supplementary die roll that often gives you only a 50-50 chance of success, souring what could have been an enjoyable experience. The designers apparently felt that every step of the game should involve some random variable, a chance of failure. But what fun is there to be had in a game where everything you do requires a roll? I see that, but at least D&D characters have bonuses to their rolls. The characters in Alien Uprising don't, with nearly every throw being at best a 50-50 chance of success. Returning to Apocalypse Chaos, both it and Alien Uprising feature characters on a crashed ship. Both games involve encroaching enemies. Apocalypse Chaos focused solely on defense and elimination, though following missions in the game's campaign, though that term is a bit of a reach, do offer variety. With Apocalypse Chaos, which by the way ties with Alien Uprising for most uninspired title for a board game ever, dice represent individual player skill. These action dice, along with the distribution of enemy cards, are the game's only variables. When employing the attack dice, success and the damage amount is guaranteed and fixed. In Alien Uprising, everything is up to chance, and that concept gets real old, real fast. I'm not kidding, even reloading a gun requires a skill check. Play begins with the drawing of an event card and following its effects. Players determine which equipment their characters will wield that turn from those available. The 5 red action dice are rolled by the first player, electing to re-roll any result up to 2 additional times. A result with the alien icon adds an alien to the game board. On the second and third re-rolls, revealed alien icons are locked and cannot be re-rolled. If at any time 3 rolled dice show the same result, those 3 dice are re-rolled, but the player also gains 2 additional bonus dice, neither of which feature alien symbols. The first player selects 1 die as a character action, shifting clockwise to the next player, continuing regardless of the number of players until all are claimed. Each die represents 2 options. The action on the die face can be carried out, or it can be ignored in favor of using it to either run or recover debris. In addition to the die action, a player can also move a character a certain number of spaces based on his or her card. Characters can move before or after, but cannot split movement between an action. The actions include attacking aliens, preparing an item, reloading, scouting, or administering first aid. You can also find a wild symbol that can be anything. With healing and scouting, success is assumed, but strangely with engineering, attacking, and reloading, players are forced to roll for their success. So sorry, Will Wheaton, this game may not be for you. After all the players commit their actions, the aliens respond, reveal an alien troop card, and carry out its instructions. This may involve advancing the rescue ship closer, assuming your homing beacon is fixed, the existing aliens advancing, or the drawing of additional aliens from the bag. Aliens, when advancing, move one sector, attacking the shield first, pushing past it when that defense fails. They'll also attack any people they encounter along the way. If an alien gestation token is drawn, its effects are carried out in the planet phase to follow. The rescue ship can advance, more so if the homing beacon amplifier works, and alien gestation can creep closer to escalation. If this reaches its final value, draw a gestation card. Each player can draw an additional skill card. All the drawn tokens not on the board are placed back in the bag, adding an additional gestation token. If asked to draw an alien gestation card and none are present, the players immediately lose the game. Play passes on to the next player and game continues. The players have two routes to victory. Either the rescue team arrives in time, or players repair the ship themselves and take off under their own power. Along with the gestation deck running out, the players also lose if an alien enters an empty ship. Players don't die if reduced to 0 health. They only drop anything they're carrying, lose all available skill cards, drawing only one to replenish, and returning to the ship. Oh, and also you draw an alien gestation card. Now, returning to the skill roll component, there are several situations where that should be a reliable character skill, but instead it's delegated to a single die roll. Thankfully, the majority of skill cards combat this, which means Alien Uprising suffers from the same issue as the aforementioned Apocalypse Chaos. The game naturally becomes easier the more characters you play with. Now, that also being said, I have a personal problem with the aspect of rerolling. It only offers another opportunity for someone to fail. I had similar issues with Robinson Crusoe and Elder Sign, where our player's reward or exhaustible character skill is the chance to try a task a second time. In every one of these situations, when using exhaustible resources in the application of a skill roll, players should be able to turn that failure into a success. It allows that option of mitigation, and if game designers or fans criticize the concept of as making a game too easy, then it is up to the designers to make the game more difficult. Stop increasing difficulty by adding more random elements. It doesn't make your game more fun, it doesn't make your game more difficult, it just makes your game infuriating. And I come from role-playing, where players are forced to roll for everything, and it gets frustrating to face repeated disappointment given the capacity of skilled characters. And I don't speak as a player, I speak as a GM. There is an argument to be made for a reliable skill. Simply put, Gordon Ramsay never rolls a 1.
Yes, damn, I'll just cut myself.
You really did.
Well, almost never. In Alien Uprising, roll above a 3 with an engineering action to add a shield token, which itself is random. Ranged weapons have values listing what must be rolled or higher to score a hit, most often 3. Melee combat is a contested roll with the alien rolling their own dice, and they often will have more dice to roll than you. If they roll above the value on a shield token, the uppermost token is removed. If less, the monster suffers a wound. As the highest value is used first, a creature like a brute has the capacity of cleaving through an entire shield wall in a single turn. As for melee combat, it's a tad more cumbersome. Aliens roll multiple dice based on their monster token. Players gain 1, but can add additional dice based on equipment. These values can barely be adjusted. This occurs regardless of who is attacking who. Only attackers inflict wounds. There is cover against a few enemies with range attacks, though once again they only incur rerolls. Immediately you can see the issue with the amount of randomness in this game. Returning back to my role-playing heritage, I'd never claim they were good tabletop games. D&D has always worn its mechanical flaws on its sleeve, with veteran players knowing full well the game is best as an interactive narrative rather than a balanced combat system. Stripping the narrative out, Alien Uprising offers players little in the form of mitigation of its many random elements. In fact, within these random elements hide the possibility of escalation. Each time an alien icon is rolled, add a monster. Draw an alien gestation token, move the slider, reach the limit, draw a gestation card. The gestation tokens don't even count as monsters drawn, meaning you could keep drawing them, continually worsening a situation and making a game virtually unwinnable. However, the worsen regards the game's potential running length. Both Apocalypse Chaos and Castle Panic list their playtimes at 60 minutes, regardless if that's true or not. Most other games either list a play range of 30 minutes, 60 to 90, 90 to 120. Only larger ones list 30 minutes per person. Alien Uprising claims 90 plus. That's a plus. No upper limit. Think about that. In order to best explain why it's listed this way, let's run the math. The game is won by advancing the rescue tracker from 18 to 0, or by repairing the ship and engine bay. The rescue tracker only advances if a ship symbol appears on a drawn gestation token or a troop card, and only if the homing beacon has been fixed on this ship. There are 3 gestation tokens and 7 troop cards, with the ship symbol. 7 cards out of 16, equating 16 rounds of the game. If enough gestation tokens are removed, all the tokens are dropped back in the bag, meaning you may not draw all 3 before having to place a gestation card, and of course you only get 5 of those before the game ends. Of course, you can mitigate this. If you find the homing beacon booster, it increases the tracker once per turn. You could also repair the ship and take off on your own. That requires finding 5 hull sheet metal fragments, returning them to the ship, and then spending a repair die for each to fix the ship. Oh, and you have to repair the drive. Find 2 energy crystals among the debris and fix the engine as well. Still, not impossible. Actually, it can be. You need 5 of the 6 sheet metal pieces and 2 of the 3 energy crystals on the board. The problem are scavengers that appear, steal a debris token without any chance of stopping them, and then they vanish. There are 4 of these in the bag, and if they steal 2 sheet metal pieces or 2 of the energy crystals, you literally cannot escape the planet on your own. You have to wait for the rescue counter to reach 0. You're not even technically allowed to look at the debris token being stolen, meaning the group is oblivious to the fact their mission is hopeless. In one game, my girlfriend and I discovered we didn't have enough to escape the planet on our own, and only recently fixed a homing beacon. We had played the game for 2 hours and were faced with grinding at the game for another 90 minutes before rescue showed up. We boxed the game and didn't play it again for almost a year. Alien Uprising is a fun game for about an hour. Then it gets tedious. After 2 hours, it becomes a frustrating slog. The very idea of a game combining apocalypse chaos and castle panic into a tower defense game with a sci-fi theme on its surface is brilliant. The execution, however, suffered from poor production design and an over-reliance on random variables to increase or offer the illusion of difficulty. The game runs far too long with too many fiddly mechanics that only serve to drag the ordeal further. I'm presenting this review as more of a demonstration of a game that could have been great, but stumbled inches from the finish line. And there is praise to be found. The drawback of monsters, the dice drafting, the character skill decks, even the basic premise. These are all enjoyable aspects of the game. But did we really need alien icons on the action dice, skill checks for reloading weapons, and opponents that secretly sabotage the game without any opportunity for the players to stop it? Mr. B Games never returned to this franchise outside of a bizarre robot builder. They have continued their business with mixed success, despite the potential their first title had. A re-release seems obvious. A few mechanical tweaks, bundling all the expansions in a big box, an increase in production quality, and this game could have been a winner. The potential was there, but now it seems fated to fade into history as another game lost amongst the bungled and the botched. Speaking of those mechanical tweaks, by the way. In my attempt to fix the issues with this game, one must admit it does make the game easier. If you agree, the game includes methods of increasing that difficulty. The first involves the action die. Only when alien dice are locked in the second and third rerolls are alien tokens added to the board. Rolling 4 to 5 alien tokens on the first turn of the first roll is not what I would consider a fair opening of the game. Additionally, the game does permit for players to lose a turn effectively if alien dice are rolled and locked. Therefore, alien dice, when revealed, can be claimed as an action by a player, and although movement was previously allowed, it can still be discarded as others to either run or recover debris. As for those skill dice, there are plenty of skill cards that allow rerolls. No longer. Discarded skill cards turn failures into successes. Simple. Drawn alien gestation tokens count as drawn aliens. That's relatively obvious to address. Reloading no longer requires a skill check. Scavengers, after they steal an item, are removed as normal, but the item is only placed aside. The next time a champion is revealed, it remains in the outermost zone, holding the debris. Only by killing that monster will the token be placed in the nearest space, allowing its retrieval. I'd also expand on our rule by stating that champions cannot be targeted until all of the creatures in that entire sector are killed first. And lastly, there are 20 debris tokens in the game, with an additional 4 added in expectation for a later expansion that, to my knowledge, doesn't actually exist. I mean, there are expansions, but I don't think any of them address these, so employ them as random item cards when found. Of course, this means there will be 4 extra tokens. The players gain these at the beginning of the game. Like others I've reviewed, Alien Uprising is cursed with brushing close to greatness, attempting to emulate better games, but failing to live up to them. The potential was there, but short-sighted design choices and exceedingly long playtime and an over-reliance on randomness forced this game into antiquity. Employing a few mechanical changes does increase enjoyment, despite reducing the difficulty, though this may only help those already owning the game with plans to return to it. I hope this review shines a light on what Alien Uprising could have been, so those that created it see what could come from learning from its mistakes. This is Chris from Deus Ex Machina.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.